scary. You know, like, who knows? It's scary. Concussions, it can come at any time. It's not like, he's got a knee injury and, oh man, I hope no one hits the knee, or, his shoulder, hope it doesn't land hard on the shoulder. Now, he did take classes in the offseason, like jiu-jitsu, I think it was, to learn how to fall.
Yeah.
I guess that's interesting. What I did notice, though, at OTAs, he is significantly bigger than he was the last time we saw him. He has put on a lot of muscle, which maybe that's something that helps him absorb the hits and also helps him land a little bit easier. So I think that part's kind of interesting. But man, like, who knows? If he's out there, he's awesome. But we know it's one of those deals where every time he gets knocked down, you're watching from home, you're like, all right, can we put the camera back on Tua and make sure he stands up properly,
I could think of probably 4 to 5 different teams just in the West that I would bet over the Warriors to win the title this year. For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
I would bet.
Am I crazy for
Memphis.
that? I would too.
I would bet, obviously, Denver.
Mm-hmm.
I would bet Sacramento.
I would too.
I would bet.
I'd bet the Lakers.
The Lakers.
I would bet the Lakers,
I would
yes.
bet the Lakers as well.
Would you bet the Pelicans?
I still believe in the Pelicans, although my guy Zion.
It's getting harder and harder to believe in him.
It's getting weird.
It
Although
is.
I'm Team Zion. Yeah, I would bet the Pelicans before I would bet the Warriors. I just, like, even if this is Chris Paul at 28, 29 years old, who I loved, I still don't know how he fits with the Warriors. Like, we were talking about this before the show. The Warriors want to run. I don't know that fits Chris Paul. I can't imagine him and Steph in the same backcourt. Even years ago, I just don't know how that works. And what else are they going to be able to do here? Is Draymond back? Is he not back? If he's not back, they have more money to spend. I would want a way better price. I would want at least 18-1 on the Warriors, which I know I'm never going to get with Steph still there. But that's the price that I would look for. Plus 650 just to come out of the West. I would not. Yeah, I would play the Pelicans and just hope that they stay healthy and out of trouble.
Yeah, I think the first thing you have to do is probably throw the AFC South out. You can probably make a fairly decent claim that the Jaguars they're favored against the field in their own division, which is weird for a team that has won 2 division titles this millennium. But they're that division you can throw to the side, and then from there you have to kind of look. In the AFC East, it's probably a 3-team race between Buffalo, New York, and Miami. And then in the North, Pittsburgh's pretty good, but I think it's a 3-team race between the Bengals, the Browns, and the Ravens. And then in the West, everybody's going to talk about the Chiefs and obviously the Chargers. I think the Broncos are a team, when you look at Sean Payton, that's the one you really have to look at. If this were the NFC, I think the Broncos would be a playoff team, even money or so in the markets right now. Right now, they're about 2-1 to make the playoffs. That's the one team where I'm saying if there's any slack, if there's any injuries in this conference, the Broncos are the team I'm kind of eyeing as a possible plus money pop in the market right now. No, it's not, and I think that division's worse coming into the season than it was going into last season. The Cardinals last year had a win total of 8.5. They went well under that. They're probably going to be the worst team in the league this year. The Rams came into last year as the defending champions. They're sitting there with a win total closer to 6 or so than 9 or 10. And so those teams, Seattle should be favored in all 4 of those games. The Niners are going to go into the season with Sam Darnold, Brock Purdy, and Trey Lance. So, they're one kind of perturbation there away from being weaker. So I think Seattle is, a fairly strong play. And in fact, I think, even money or so is probably a good bet for them to make the playoffs, and 2-1 is a very good bet for them to win that division, just because, as you said, Geno has gotten much better. They've given him weapons, the offensive line. They got 2 tackles last year in the draft that played really well. They're in year 2, and players close to the football take longer to mature generally, so that's good. The one question I have for them, good corners with Woolen and Witherspoon now, decent linebacker play. They get Bobby Wagner back. Where are they going to get a pass rush is really my question. Yeah, I think Carolina might be the team to look at. So, they have a really good defense. They have Brian Burns is about as good as it gets. As a pass rusher, they put some scaffolding around that offensive line. Obviously, Bryce Young would have to mature, but Frank Reich has always, like last year was just an outlier for Reich. I think he's been a great coach that's elevated the players around him a lot. And then they go and get, Thielen, Chark, Hayden Hurst, Miles Sanders to sort of kind of build around him, and their Atlanta's schedule is about 1 point easier than per game than the average team on a neutral field. Carolina's second easiest in the NFL per our numbers at about, again, 0.9 basically a point easier per game. So you're getting a point on the point spread easier per game in their schedule. So if Atlanta were to falter, and that there's a number of different ways they can, I mean, Desmond Ritter's their starting quarterback, then I think the Panthers are the team that you want to buy into in that division. I don't think you want to bet any of your hard-earned dollars on Derek Carr hosting a playoff game, and I think Tampa Bay is tanking this year. So those two teams are the ones I'd look at, and so just give me the one with the better payout.
I think it's the Reds just simply because of the division that they're in. Like, the Diamondbacks are in a tough division. They could lose to a couple of teams. As for the Reds, I think it almost feels like it's free and clear for them, that the path is set. Ellie De La Cruz is here. Yeah, I think it's the Reds. I mean, don't love the price. 17-1 was much better, but the number, if they lose a couple more games, might even get better.
Gotta go Reds. We're a Reds show. We are Reds fans.
Reds.
Even not deep
De La
down.
Cruz is the man, though. Friday night he hit for the triple, and I was like, did he just? Oh yeah, he did.
Yep. He is. Look, that team is also
It's
in
like
a great
his
position
seventh
with that
game.
division.
Yeah,
and it's just
ridiculous.
It's the hype around this team and the young talent that's now there. They're playing with house money. They're not really concerned about any expectations, and in a weak division like that, it is a team that is ripe to get onto that scene very, very quickly, and really maybe be what the Orioles were last year.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, Trista said it best. You look at the division, and sure, even if the Cubs are buyers at the deadline, what could they really buy? The Cardinals never are buyers at the deadline, and I just don't know if they're going to get right. Their biggest offseason pickup was Wilson Contreras, who has been terrible defensively, not much better offensively. The Brewers don't scare me whatsoever. I don't know what they do at the deadline. And I could see the Padres getting hot. Like, the Padres have way too much talent to be this bad. Even if they don't get themselves right, the Dodgers can. And we know what they do at the deadline. They get whatever they want. So I agree. I'd have to go with the Reds, unfortunately.
When I look at like what's going on with the Blazers and Dame right now, it's like the couple that you expect to just like their relationships run its course. And it's not volatile, but it's just stale. And you feel like they tolerate each other, but you know at some point it's going to come to an end. And nobody's really willing to make that effort to get out of their comfort zone and go into another relationship or get out and move on. It's just kind of sitting there where you're going, man, we love you guys and we'll still be friends with you after you break up. But it just, you guys don't really like being around each other that much, but you tolerate each other and it just doesn't have the feel anymore. Like, why don't you just try something new?